they've had to wake up every morning and motivate themselves to run their businesses and to deal with the myriad of challenges that they face.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Cards Against Complexity. Today with Sam from Unzer. Welcome, Sam.
Hi there. Hi.
Great to have you. So we're covering probably today a lot on operational complexity in financial services, your background, both in traditional financial service, but now at Unzer, building and actually aggregating several financial services players. You talked about this as CCW. I think there's a small deep dive there. Before we go there, would love to get a bit of a background on yourself. So what brought you to where you are today and your role at Unzer today?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for asking. I wanted to join financial services as a growth area, as an interesting area when I left university, and joined Standard Life, which is a UK life and pensions company, which had a bank and investment house, and then as a longer term investment and life insurance pension company. And but having studied languages and business studies, I always wanted to work abroad. And as the opportunity presented itself, I was straight up, take me. So I had the chance to come and work in a German branch of a challenger life insurance company. I see in Germany you've got 97 life insurers, so there was nevertheless room for a challenger, and we then arbitrated, or you were able to use cross passporting country rights to bring a UK concept into Germany and compete by having more accent quota, more investment content in the life insurance than the incumbents. So I came and worked there and ran customer service there for 8 years and went through a sort of pre-AI digital journey with them to create more self-serve with Finanzberatung. I was looking after 15 billion euro of assets at that point in time and 500,000 customers. And as a smaller part of a bigger organ, and then joined Unzer in 2021 and VP of operations, running their merchant service, onboarding service, billing in 13 second stage startups. So it's now an aggregator company, an external investor, and having a lot of fun pushing these units together to try and provide something consistent across all of these units in the German market. So super exciting, and that's the journey. But it's always been B2B or B2C facing environment in the last 13 years. So I really enjoy that space, and hence I'm talking to you about it today.
Yeah, and talking about operations in an organization that aggregates multiple organizations, I mean, that has its own complexity, and that's what we're talking all about in this podcast. I'll jump into this in a second, but before we do that, we always love to kick off the round with a round of Cards Against Complexity. So I've got a deck here for you, and I'll show you in a second. Let me know if you can see it, and then let's see what we've got here. I had a sneak peek before. For everybody who doesn't know Cards Against Complexity, so it's similar to Cards Against Humanity, a simple game. On the left-hand side, we've got one card with a sentence that needs completion. On the right-hand side, there's 3 options. They might not be a perfect fit, Sam, but you've got to choose one. Take me through and take us through what you're thinking, and then we'll take it from there. So let's see what we've got here. Unzer updates the software of all its POS systems to improve CX. That's a good thing. Now customers get their daily horoscope printed on each receipt, can spin a wheel to choose the unlucky person who pays for the whole group, or see a motivational quote on the screen after a card gets declined.
Yeah, so I think the third option, so customers would see a motivational quote on the screen after a card gets declined. I think that would be the one I would pursue. I think these are business people, so I think they're often independent. They've started their own companies, so I think they're going to be practical, pragmatic people, and I think they've had to wake up every morning and motivate themselves to to run their businesses and to deal with the myriad of challenges that they face. So I think for me, that would be the card that I would pick.
So rather than go for chances or do some, put some horoscopes in the mix, rather be motivational and be supportive, for who we're working with. Very cool. And, I mean, there's so many software updates we can put in to improve the customer journey, right? Motivational quotes might be one. There's probably a bit more complex, issues you have to solve with your team, not only operationally, but also improving the product as you go. I would love to maybe before we dive into what you're doing and how you're doing it, would love to set the stage a bit. For everyone who doesn't know Unzer, maybe you take us a bit through how Unzer came to be and what it is today as a group, and what the business model is behind bringing those companies together, but then also serving your customers. I think that's always useful as a starting point than to jump into the customer service challenges.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. So it's a B2B customer largely. It's based in the DACH region, including in the addition of Denmark as well. And the idea is across the payment space is to offer online, offline payment possibilities, but not just with hardware, but also with software as well. So the opportunity really comes from, it's a very much a German and German-speaking area where we believe Germany's behind some other countries on the digitalization journey. And we see...
It's absolutely true. I think anyone who's listening in will probably nod their heads quietly.
I was in London recently for 4 days and did not use a pound, did not touch a physical pound one single time and didn't need it. And then, as soon as I took, coming from Germany, I took out £130 on day one and still had £130 on the flight back, because everything is so digital. Even a donation for a charity, for example, it took a payment off your phone. So I think, merchants are looking for ways to digitalize their business and make it easy to process their business. And in effect, they don't wish to look at, have 10 different agreements with 10 different companies, one which offers cash registers, one which offers offline, one online, and then, booking system if they're a hairdresser and so on, or an inventory capability from another. So, what Unzer is trying to do is to provide full payment services across the piece, including cash register, and including software which supports them, and bundle that up and provide it together with first-class customer service. So this is why we're talking today. My observation being, as you can tell, you may have guessed with my accent, I'm British. If you compare customer service levels as a general rule, and it's a personal observation, in UK, I would say is slightly ahead than Germany. If you take America, certainly ahead. And so I think there's an opportunity to provide a German language, high level of quality service, for merchants as they go through that digitalization journey. And the part of that is educational, right? Guiding people through what's the art of the possible. And so to offer all of these different payment methods, online, offline, plus cash register plus software is something in German language supported by good services is really what we're trying to do. But with that, as you said, the key word being complexity, comes quite a lot of complexity with these different deep domains of knowledge which are required to help a user group which has the full range of fully digital native knowledge to none. So that's a very unique challenge, but one which we're enjoying taking on.
Take us a bit deeper in there. Like, what are the biggest challenges in there? Like, those 13 companies are now coming together. There's a main platform, but you'll get them on. Where are the biggest challenges? Like, is it more in the technical area, more in like getting people to work together, or like making an offering? Like, where's the biggest challenge for you to provide that one value proposition that you just talked about?
I think if I was to boil it down to literally one thing, and I think there's two things we should talk about here. I think the one biggest thing.
Two.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the one biggest thing is, I think, and this is my key message actually, the silos will remain. unless you work really, really hard to connect people to the mission and including the behaviors that you need them to exhibit. So people have come from their own business and they remain very much in that, and we don't have a centralized office in the heart of Germany where all our Viennese staff and our Hamburg staff and our Berlin moved to. No, it's still a business that's made up of component parts. So really, if a merchant comes and wants a pay later product and which is normal, they would then want an e-coms product or vice versa. They may then decide they want to do open a shop and have an inventory. So these are, I've just counted 4 domains for which we have 4. It was started out with 4 different teams, and each with their own deep domain, which is advancing very fast because they're technical. So think of all that complexity, plus the fact we've got 9 billing systems. We have 6 admin platforms. We have 13 types of terminals. We've got 7 network service providers. So the message about how we want our staff to behave will determine what experience the merchant gets. So we require of our staff, if you don't know the answer to all those technical domains, because no human could, then they need to gather up the answers and provide one answer back to the merchant rather than passing a query, do that a little bit, pass it to the next person, pass it to the next. You could then end up with 8 emails coming back to the merchant from different Unzer staff. And that's not the experience that we want a merchant to have. We'd like them to have 1 or 2 answers which cover the 8 different domains. So I think hard work is required. Yes, look at the processes. Yes, look at the system landscape, but be really clear on what you want, how you want your staff to behave is the biggest lever actually that you have, and the fastest one as well. But you need to be very intentional around defining what that behavior looks like and break some of the, cultural norms of each of those units as it was. So it requires open-mindedness and repetition and focus and then quality control actually. Yeah.
So like take me a bit deeper into this, because it's like, it's easy to say, right? Like it's like it's nice. It could be a relief to say, oh, technology doesn't need to be integrated in process. That stuff is easy. I think that would love to touch that in a second as well.
Yeah,
it still has to be done probably. But what you're saying is the biggest lever and the fastest lever, still hard lever, is go with the people, get them on the same mission, get them aligned in what you expect from them, and then make sure that gets better. Like, how does this show up, or like, how did this show up in the last quarters, last years? Like, where if I was doing this again, let's say at the same channels, where should I focus? Like, what should I do to get this actually implemented?
Yeah, so I mean, it's mainly around effective communication and creating real followership for where we're going. So as we see more demands coming in from merchants, we've then got the evidence to say, well, look, in this scenario, way more emails went back to the merchant than we wanted. We're all customer service. We're all employed to provide a market-leading customer service. Is 8 emails back to the merchant better than 2? No, it's not. So there's real demand for what we want to create. So the vision is not just Sam Comerford dreamed it up in a box somewhere and tried to sell it. There's genuine demand for what we're offering, which is great. It's a great message. So I think it's mainly around communication of what the mission is and reminder of what the behaviors are that support that. So when a merchant asks for a callback, don't email them back. They want a callback. So it may be uncomfortable for you because you don't know what they're going to ask, but we still need that to be done. So this is then in the form of an all hands, in the form of a town hall, in the form of a team meeting where these new behaviors are communicated and the why is described behind it. And then it's quality control. So as we see merchant feedback come in, we're able to say, okay, why did we not call back in that instance? Okay, then let's call them back now and solve it. So it's really, I'd say it's a cultural shift, but you need to put in places controls to see whether it's actually happening. Otherwise, you'll never know that. So there you can use all sorts of data points, sales colleagues, feedback from merchants, and you get and CSAT, customer satisfaction scores, and see what the comments were in the customer satisfaction scores to really understand, are we delivering on what we expect of our teams? So, and take the callback initiative. It's unusual that somebody would call back and say, "I'm right, it's Sam here, Jan, and I saw in a ticket in a query you had that you had a problem, and I'm calling you back." They don't actually expect you to follow through on that, and when you do, you really are able to create a lot of delight quite quickly. And it may even be you can't solve the problem, but the way you dealt with it and the fact that you took ownership and will no doubt solve it afterwards is as much as having solved it almost. So it's really just repetition and then control.
And let's say we put now those basics in place, right? And you've got your 13 different teams acting as one, and you're constantly improving that. As you look into 2025 and beyond, knowing that this is running, where else are you right now focusing your attention, or where do you think, like, if you can't exactly share in Unzer, where would you expect that a operations or service leader is focusing their attention right now, depending on how far you can go?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious place, but I think is very relevant, is just the speed of AI. I mean, it'd be unusual not to mention it, but I think it has I think we're just scratching the surface of how many use cases that can support. So I think if you're not, it's clear if you're not doing something to speed up your customer experience or improve your customer experience with AI, then I think you're going to be left behind, quite frankly, is my personal view, certainly in the payment space, where if your terminal's not working, you need someone to help you quickly. So I think the challenge is about, certainly in the payment space, if somebody's broken their card in the machine and it's snapped in half, for example, and you're a nightclub and, yes, you're taking payments every 3 seconds, you want an answer. So, I think AI can really assist with that. I think it's not the only solution, but I think it really, really can. And certainly from the more mature businesses, like some of your listeners or other speakers, indeed, that they may well have a lot of content on their website. So it's good to have visual and text as well as telephone, but finding that content is becoming a challenge. So it used to be 10 years ago, do you have any content? And now it is, we've got so much content. How does the merchant find it, or how does the customer find it? And I think that then is around, I think obviously AI can help point to the right content quite quickly, and then with prompts help you get there. So I think leveraging that is the challenge for everybody in customer service, I think, effectively. But let's just, if you jump forward ahead, that, for me, that's a hygiene factor. So how do you then, differentiate yourself? And certainly my aspiration is that AI will take people so far, but if they're still not finding the right answer, then the credit card's still broken in the terminal, and it's still, 10, 11 p.m. and you're still not able to take payments on that terminal. What's the next best solution? You can't rely on the tech. So then, we still need to provide that, let's call it a manual service where someone's able to help you quickly. So I think that's where you can differentiate, is how do you go beyond the standard AI answer and give, where you've got proprietary information, which is unique to Unzer or your company. How do you surface that? How do you answer those problems which arise and is not answerable by a standard AI, So I think that's the battlefield of 26, 27, I think.
There's lots to do. This is, a quick run through your journey at Unzer, looking at, before even everybody says AI first, before even saying AI, get the people, get the team aligned in the right mission, and make sure they have what they need. And then AI is baseline. Yes, you've got to do it, but then think one step further, actually, again, to solving what AI cannot solve.
Yeah, I think that's right, because the AI will, let's say, the technology in a fintech will work and should work most of the time, but it's not always set up for the edge cases. And of course, and it, it doesn't always work all of the time, the digital solution. It's not always appropriate for, for calming or de-escalating a situation. and may actually be a hindrance and lead to quite a detriment, because you're not finding the right answer. And so I think I've grown up in there, I'm more of not a millennial, so I realize that the tech doesn't always work all of the time, and you have to have a plan B. And the plan B, which is often the best, is that you do it manually and with human. But you've got to be just clever about how you do that, because you can't scale that as great as the AI. But without a plan B, then you're also struggling, and the merchant's not then able to take payments. Our business is also then not earning it's not commercially viable in that scenario. So yeah, the lever to move more quickly is with your team, with your human resource. But the scaling effects come from the more strategic technical changes, which you can't deliver in a heartbeat. So, what do you rely on when it's not there, and until it's there, and when it doesn't work or when the use case comes up that you're not planned for, and therefore you have to really good solid base first, which is beyond mission. Remember, we're here to deal with empathy and with solution orientation and speed, and to reduce complexity for the merchant. Then you catch people doing the right thing rather than catch people, doing the wrong thing. And that's a great place to be in.
Very cool. Very exciting. Thanks so much for sharing your insights here from a career in service and operations. Now, other people might be starting out this career either in your team or in other teams. So somebody getting into this today, what would you recommend where they focus their time and energy and attention, either in your team or in a different team, to get up to speed fast and to be to succeed fast in the industry that we're in today?
Yeah, super good question, highly topical. So I talked about my age here, but I'm 46, so I've seen pre-smartphones and post-smartphones and the use cases that they bring in. I would say for people starting out now, certainly in the business I'm in right now, I would say ability to handle data, and analyze and mine data. You don't need to be a data scientist, but just the ability to deal with confidently and quickly with high volumes of data, where you can merge it, connect it, and draw analysis for the real world, I think is a skill set that I highly seek. And so with all this complexity, I need a control tower where I can keep a handle on what's going on, and really understand have it at my fingertips, the detail. So is it a systematic problem, or is it a one-off problem? Is the data we're now relying on, valid, and how do we know, where did it come from? And, so that is a skill. I think that's a really high valuable skill. So I think the skill, I would say, be able to do SQL queries, merge data, and draw analysis, and then present it in a digestible manner. It's not always easy, actually, to get those two skill sets together, to tell a story and have the technical skills. So I think that for me, that would be the area which is a growth area, and be in big demand, especially for those companies which are acquisitive, because you've suddenly got a new data set which is not the same and doesn't match, and therefore you need to, if you want to integrate and create scaling effects, then you need to be able to integrate the data in a meaningful way. And as you link platforms together, and this is one challenge we have, ideally, the data flows from the input point to the destination. So you don't have to type it a double entry. You can avoid that. And therefore, starting with clean data is great. If you start with dirty data, it pollutes the end goal, it pollutes the end, and then you need to repair it. And that is remediation, which stops you doing the things you would like to be doing. So I think, that would be my tip, to develop that skill set and to acquire that skill set. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Sam. Thanks for, I think, a really insightful episode into the complexity of running a payment ops and service in the middle of the market we're in, with different kinds of customer offerings merging as one. Even someone who hasn't got suddenly 13 companies on their hand, but maybe 13 products or 5 products, dealing with similar challenges, very insightful to look at where people are in, that their mission is aligned, that we re-communicate that, and help them be aligned on one customer value proposition and one face to the customer, and then get AI in there, its baseline expectations, and know where AI stops. So you get the human back in. I almost see this kind of curve where you've got like human, the AI, and the human back in there. Which, if you want to succeed in this, you actually should understand data, because if you look at humans and if you look at how they work together with AI, this control tower idea is important, and not only the idea, but getting actually the data and understanding it well.
Yeah.
Really, really insightful. And we even want a feature for your new roadmap, right? So motivational quotes are going to be on the Unzer roadmap 2025. I can see that already. Get everybody a bit more excited when that machine breaks down, or when the next customer service agent just sent you a nice note. Maybe they can print that quote. Maybe that's something. There's much to explore there, but that's for a different time. Sam, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your insights. Really loved our conversation, and all the best for the year ahead.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and look forward to the next discussion.